Can you believe this day is finally here? I said, adjusting my tie in front of the mirror. Emily laughed softly from the doorway. I've been waiting for it for months, James. I smiled at the sound of her voice. You sound so calm. I'm practically shaking. You always overthink, she teased, stepping closer. Her hazel eyes sparkled in the morning light. But I love it about you. I reached for her hand, feeling the warmth that made my heart thrum. I love you more than I can even say. Today, it's our day. I can't imagine spending it with anyone else. Emily squeezed my hand, her smile soft but meaningful. You're sweet. Just try not to panic when everyone stares at us. Before I could reply, James walked in, all charm and confidence. Panic? That's not like you, little brother. You look sharp, by the way. Emily, you've outdone yourself. Emily's cheeks tinged pink. Thank you, James. I watched them exchange that glance, the one I never quite understood. I shook my head, dismissing the thought. I trusted them both completely. James had always been complicated, ambitious, yes, but he was my brother. I shook off the nagging feeling. Today wasn't for doubts. So, is everyone ready for the ceremony? James asked, spinning on his heel. I've been practicing my speech, Emotional stuff. Don't steal my spotlight. You always steal everything. I muttered, half laughing, half jealous. Aw, come on. Today isn't about me. It's about you and Emily. He winked. I tried to focus on the truth in his words rather than the unease curling somewhere in my chest. Emily leaned on my shoulder, whispering, I'm nervous, but it's a good nervous. I think. You'll be perfect, I whispered back. We'll be perfect. The morning passed in a blur. Family greeting, laughter, and a tiny bit of chaos with my mother fussing over my bow tie. But every glance at Emily reminded me of why I was smiling. She was radiant. She was mine. James sidled up beside me at one point. Em's really something. I've never seen you this happy. I nodded. I know. She's everything I hoped for. Honestly, I feel like the luckiest man alive. James smiled, but there was something flickering in his eyes that I couldn't read. I ignored it, focused instead on the ceremony countdown. Only hours to go. Ready for the vows? Emily asked later as we waited backstage. As I'll ever be, I said, feeling my hands clammy. I've been rehearsing every word in my head for days, but now it feels different. Emily laughed quietly. That's how it's supposed to feel. Real. Raw. James leaned closer, pretending to offer advice. Just remember, don't cry too much. People will start feeling sorry for you instead of admiring your love story. I don't cry. I muttered, but my throat felt tight anyway. You always do, Emily whispered, resting her hand on my arm. It's one of the things I love. As the music swelled and we walked down the aisle, I felt a rush I'd never felt before. Eyes on us, hearts beating, vows ready. I thought about how far we'd come, how much I trusted Emily, and how lucky I was to have James by my side, no matter the tiny undercurrents I didn't fully understand. I leaned closer to Emily as we approached the altar. I can't wait for tonight, I murmured. She smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Neither can I. And in that moment, I felt complete. Life felt like it had finally fallen into place. Every piece aligned perfectly. I didn't know what the future held, but for now, all that mattered was her hand in mine. I was ready to start the rest of my life. Emily held my hand as we entered the honeymoon suite. It's beautiful, she said softly, her voice almost too calm. I thought you'd like it, I replied, trying to match her tone. I wanted everything to be perfect tonight. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. It is perfect. Really? I frowned slightly. You don't sound convinced. Something on your mind? Emily laughed lightly, brushing past me to set her bag down. You worry too much. I'm fine. Relax. I try to shake off the unease curling in my chest. Okay, fine. But you've been quiet since the ceremony. It's unlike you. She turned, placing a hand on my shoulder. I'm just tired, James. That's all. I know it's been a long day, but I hesitated, trying to voice the anxiety gnawing at me. It's more than that, isn't it? Emily's laugh was soft but forced. You always think too much. Let's just enjoy tonight. I sank onto the sofa, running a hand through my hair. I couldn't shake the feeling something was off. I picked up my phone and dialed Claire. Hey, James. How's married life treating you? Claire's voice was warm, teasing, but I could hear the concern underneath. Claire, something feels wrong. Emily's distant. She's laughing, but it's not real. Wait, slow down. What do you mean distant? I don't know. I can't explain it. She's not herself. Quiet, distracted, like she's hiding something. Claire's tone turned serious. James, trust your instincts. Don't ignore this. Observe but stay calm. Don't accuse without proof. I know. I just feel this flicker of doubt. Something small, but persistent. I can't shake it. Good. Don't shake it. That instinct exists for a reason. Just be careful tonight. Don't jump to conclusions. Thanks, Claire. I needed to hear that. Anytime. Call me if you need to talk. Remember, I know you better than anyone. You'll figure it out. After the call, I stared at Emily, who was arranging flowers on the balcony. Everything okay? I asked, trying to sound casual. She turned, smiling softly. Yes, really. Don't overthink, James. Enjoy our night. That's all that matters. I forced a smile. Right, enjoy the night. But inside, doubt lingered. The way she avoided my gaze, the small pauses in her words, they gnawed at me. Want a drink? She offered, returning to the sofa. Sure, I said, trying to ignore the tension twisting in my stomach. I grabbed 2 glasses and handed one to her. To us, I said, clinking my glass against hers. To us, she echoed, but her eyes drifted away. I watched her for a moment, words stuck in my throat. Emily, talk to me. Please. You're scaring me a little. She laughed again, light and airy. I promise I'm fine. Just tired, James. You worry too much. Her laughter should have reassured me, but it didn't. Something in her tone, the way she avoided looking me in the eyes, it felt wrong. My mind raced with possibilities I didn't want to consider, but the flicker of doubt refused to fade. Okay, if you say so, I murmured, though my gut tightened. We eventually settled on the bed, the lights dim, the city glowing through the window. She leaned against me, her hand brushing mine occasionally. Sleep now? She whispered. Yeah, I said, pulling the covers over us. Sleep, I guess. I stared at the ceiling for a while, replaying the day in my mind. Every glance, every word, every pause suddenly seemed like a clue. But I didn't know what it meant, and I told myself it was nothing. Just my imagination. Finally, exhaustion won. I closed my eyes, feeling Emily shift beside me. Her hand touched mine, and I let myself believe it was real, ignoring the tension in the air. Tomorrow would bring clarity, I told myself. Tomorrow, everything would make sense. But as I drifted to sleep, that flicker of doubt refused to leave. I woke to silence. The bed was empty. My heart skipped. Emily, I whispered, scanning the room. A folded note lay on the nightstand. I grabbed it, my hands trembling. I'm sorry, James. I needed space. Don't wait up. Love, Emily. I froze. Space? Tonight. My mind spun. I grabbed her phone, my pulse hammering. Messages, dozens of them, most with James. The words were casual, intimate, too close. My stomach dropped. What the hell? I muttered, reading a thread. Can't wait to see you tonight. Alone. My hand shook. Me too. Soon. Panic slammed into me. I sat on the edge of the bed, running a hand through my hair. No, this isn't real. It can't be real. Flashbacks hit me like punches. The way Emily laughed at James' jokes a little too long. The private smiles I thought were innocent. The small touches, shoulders brushing, hands lingering. Signs I dismissed. I grabbed my phone again and called Claire. Claire, it's worse than I thought. What? James. Her voice was sharp, alert. No. Emily. She's gone. And I found messages. My voice cracked. With James. Silence on the other end. Then, oh, James. I know. I can't believe it. Everything feels like lies. Breathe. Listen. Don't confront anyone yet. Think. I have to. I can't sit here. I need answers. I threw on clothes and drove straight to my parents' house, where James still lingered after the wedding. He looked surprised to see me. James? What's wrong? He asked casually. Don't play dumb. Where's Emily? I demanded. Emily? She's at home. What? His tone was too calm, too practiced. I held up her phone. Stop lying, James. I know about the messages. I know what's been going on. His smile was slight, almost charming. James, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you're tired. This wedding thing, emotions run high. Don't you dare. My hand shook. I saw everything. Every message. Every word. He leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. James, it's not what you think. It is exactly what I think. My voice echoed. How could you? My own brother? My wife. He raised his hands. I didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. Did? You're telling me you just fell into it? Anger burned through me. Emily? My Emily? And you, my brother. I never meant for you to find out like this, he said quietly. I didn't want to hurt you. Now want to hurt me? You destroyed everything. My trust, my marriage, my life. His face flickered with guilt, but I saw no real remorse. Just excuses, just pride struggling to hide itself. I left, shaking, gripping the steering wheel. Thoughts collided inside me. How could I have missed every warning? Every lingering glance? Every private joke? How could I have trusted them so blindly? I called David, James' colleague, the one I barely knew. David, do you know about Emily and James? There was a pause. James, you need proof before you accuse. But, yeah, I've seen things. I didn't know how to tell you. I can't believe this, I whispered, sinking into the driver's seat. Everything's a lie. David's voice softened. Be careful. Watch your steps. Don't confront him without thinking. I don't know what to do. My mind's spinning. Everything I believed in gone. I feel like I'm drowning. I hung up, staring at the dashboard. Betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak. They hit me in waves. Emily's laughter, James' charm. Every moment I'd cherished, now poisoned with deception. I walked into my empty apartment later, the note still on the table. I picked it up again. I'm sorry, James. I needed space. Space, right? Space for betrayal. Space to destroy the life I thought I had. I sank onto the bed, exhausted, numb. My hands shook. My mind screamed. I didn't know how to face tomorrow, or if I even wanted to. All I knew was that the people I trusted most had stabbed me where it hurt the deepest. I didn't sleep that night. The apartment felt empty, colder than usual, and every sound reminded me of her absence. I kept reaching for my phone, hoping for a message, but all I got was silence. James, you okay? Claire's voice startled me when she knocked on my door. I don't know, I admitted, leaning against the wall. I can't stop thinking about them. About Emily, about James. Claire stepped inside, eyes sharp but gentle. I saw the messages. I know, this isn't just bad luck, it's betrayal, plain and simple. I trusted them. How could I have been so blind? My voice cracked. I keep asking myself if I could have stopped this. Every moment, every word. I keep replaying it, thinking I missed the signs. Claire sat across from me, leaning forward. You didn't miss anything. They hid it. That's on them, not you. I keep imagining them together. I muttered, fists clenching. The things they said, the laughs I never noticed. It's like they rewrote my memories to hurt me. Claire frowned. You need to stop torturing yourself. You need a plan. Revenge, closure, something to take back control. Control, I whispered, staring at the floor. I feel like I lost everything overnight. My trust, my marriage, my brother. A knock interrupted us. Sophia, my neighbor, peeked in. I heard about Emily. About everything. Are you okay? I'm not okay, I said bluntly. I feel like my world shattered. I don't know how to breathe without thinking of them together. Sophia walked in, sitting beside me on the couch. I can't fix this, James. But you don't have to face it alone. Sometimes just talking helps, even if it's messy. I swallowed hard. Talking, does it really help? Every time I close my eyes, I see her smile, see him laughing with her. I feel hollow. You're allowed to feel that, Sophia said softly. But don't let it define you. You're more than their betrayal. I shook my head. I don't know who I am anymore. I love them more than anything. And now, nothing feels real. It's all gone. Claire placed a hand on my shoulder. James, listen. You're still you. And you're strong. Stronger than they think. This isn't the end. Not if you choose it differently. I don't even know what to choose anymore, I admitted. Part of me wants to scream, hurt them back. Part of me just wants to disappear. Sophia nodded. I get it. Anger, sadness, revenge, they're normal. But you can channel it. You can rebuild. You can take back your life, step by step. I keep asking myself why. I whispered. Why her? Why him? Why now? Don't waste your energy on why, Claire said firmly. Focus on what you could do now. Even small steps matter. I leaned back, closing my eyes. Small steps. I don't even know where to start. Start with yourself, Sophia said gently. Eat, sleep, talk, cry if you need. Don't let them steal more from you than they already have. I open my eyes, looking at both of them. It's hard. Everything feels heavy. I keep imagining confronting them, seeing their faces when they realize what they did. That's natural, Claire said. But don't act out of desperation. Think. Plan. Let them see what they lost when the time's right. I nodded slowly, the first flicker of focus returning. Maybe I can't change what happened, but I can decide what happens next. Sophia smiled softly. Exactly. You survived this far. You'll survive the next steps too. For the first time that day, I felt a tiny spark of control. It was weak, fragile, but it was mine. I sat there with Claire and Sophia, talking late into the night, letting my anger, confusion, and heartbreak pour out. Step by step, word by word, I began to feel a little less broken. Not whole yet, but alive. And for the first time since waking up to that note, I realized maybe survival didn't mean ignoring the pain. Maybe it meant facing it head on, messy, ugly, and raw. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the ceiling. Sleep had abandoned me long ago, but clarity was creeping in. I couldn't let them win. I refused to crumble. I'm not letting them ruin me. I muttered aloud, pacing the room. Not James, not Emily. I have to take control. The plan wasn't fully formed, but the decision was clear. I would expose them, carefully, without sinking to the same level of betrayal. Revenge, yes, but smart, calculated. Nothing reckless. I picked up my phone and called Mark, my lawyer friend. Mark, I need your help. It's serious. Personal, but involves some legal angles too. James, slow down. What happened? Mark's voice was calm but precise, always cutting to the core. They've been lying. Emily, James, my own brother. Messages, hidden truths, everything. I need proof, someone to guide me legally. Can you help? Take a breath. I can help, but we do this right. Document everything. Don't confront yet. Let me see what you have first. Okay. I'll gather everything. Screenshots, messages, anything suspicious. I can't just sit here. Mark's voice softened. Good. I'll advise as we go. Don't act rashly. Control is your weapon. I hung up and stared out the window, watching the city move. Control. That's it. That's what I need. Days passed. I observed them discreetly, careful not to appear obvious. Emily laughed at James' jokes, but something fell off. Their smiles didn't reach their eyes, and small cracks appeared in their carefully curated facade. One evening, James' arrogance showed itself. He mocked a colleague at dinner, exaggerating tales of success, bragging about connections, dismissing anyone who questioned him. I noted everything. The more he revealed, the more his moral weakness became apparent. Claire called me later. You sound different. Focused. I am. I can't let them control me anymore. I'm watching, gathering, waiting for the right moment. You're planning this well, James. Don't let emotion cloud judgment. I won't. This is about reclaiming myself, not hurting them without purpose. The next day, I invited Mark over. I've collected everything. Messages, photos, small evidence. I need you to help me map it out. Strategically. Mark leaned over the table, scanning documents. You're organized. That's good. Timing is everything. You expose too soon, they'll adapt. Too late, you lose momentum. I'm thinking social circles first. Friends, family, anyone who can see the truth. Then legal angles if necessary. I want them to feel the consequences, but subtly. Not like me becoming a wreck. Mark nodded. Smart. Focus on clarity and credibility. Emotional impact comes naturally if the facts are undeniable. I took a deep breath, feeling the first stirrings of control return. It's not just about revenge. It's about justice, dignity, reclaiming my life. That's right, Mark said firmly. Keep your composure. Let their arrogance betray them. You only need to reveal what they've already shown. I ran a hand through my hair. James underestimates me. He always has. And Emily, she thinks I'm broken. That's their mistake. Observing them, seeing their hidden tension, it fuels me. I can use it. Claire called again that evening. James, have you noticed anything? I have. Small things. Flaws in their happiness. James' arrogance. Emily's unease around him. I'm cataloging everything. Patience is key. Good. Don't act out of impulse. Let them fall into their own traps. I can do that, I said, a tight smile forming. I feel something I haven't in days. Control. Not complete yet, but it's coming back. Step by step. Perfect, Claire said, her voice full of approval. Keep it steady. Watch, wait, and strike mentally. That's power. I hung up, leaning back in my chair, letting the quiet fill the room. The spiral of despair had ended for now. Anger was still there, yes, but sharpened, focused, controlled. I whispered to myself, almost a vow, I will reclaim what's mine. I will expose them, but I will do it with my head clear. No reckless rage. Just truth. Justice. Karma. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive again. Not healed, not yet, but ready. Ready to face them. Ready to make them see what betrayal really costs. I called Claire first thing in the morning. Claire, today's the day I start subtle steps. I need to test their reactions, gather proof, but without looking vengeful. Good. Keep your tone calm. Watch, listen, and record details. Every word, every expression counts, she advised. I'll be careful, I said, feeling the first flicker of excitement in days. I can't wait to see them unravel without me having to push too hard. Later, I met Mark for coffee. Mark, I've observed patterns. James is careless when he assumes no one's watching. Emily talks differently around certain friends. I want to document it strategically. Smart. Subtlety is key. Gather their words in context and don't confront anyone yet. Influence perception naturally, Mark said, tapping his pen. I nodded, sipping my coffee, feeling the tension in my chest ease slightly. It feels satisfying in a way, not out of rage, just seeing truth come to light. That's the difference between revenge and justice, Mark said firmly. Keep that in mind. I started by inviting our family for a small gathering, pretending everything was normal. My father noticed my calm demeanor. James, you seem composed, he said casually. I am, Dad. Just focusing on myself. I replied lightly, letting the tone imply something unspoken. James arrived late, as usual, a smug smile plastered on his face. Hey, everyone, he said, shaking hands like nothing had happened. Emily followed, laughter forced, clinging slightly to his arm. I observed quietly, taking mental notes of the small slips, the way she avoided eye contact with my father, the flicker of impatience in James' expression. Later, I pulled Claire aside. Notice how James brags about that new project, and Emily flinches at any question about it. I see it. That's your opening. Watch how others react. Let natural consequences build, she whispered. I moved strategically through conversations, dropping hints subtly. I heard James mentioned Emily's networking helped him get the promotion. Must be nice, relying on charm instead of work alone, I said to a cousin. Oh, really? My cousin replied, intrigued. I thought he handled it himself. Apparently not. I shrugged, letting curiosity spread. I didn't need to push further. The seed was planted. Later that evening, I spoke to David, James' colleague. David, have you noticed James exaggerating his success? David hesitated. Yeah, he tends to embellish when he feels insecure. Emily encourages it sometimes, unknowingly maybe. Unknowingly, I repeated, smiling faintly. That's exactly what people need to know. At home, I listened as James complained to Emily about minor setbacks. Nobody respects me at work. They think I'm lucky, not capable. It's frustrating. Emily sighed. Maybe you should handle things more carefully. You don't need everyone thinking you're arrogant. I watched from the hall, unseen, heart steady. Their desperation was leaking naturally. The arrogance that once masked James' moral weakness was cracking under scrutiny. Claire called later. James looks rattled? He is. And Emily, her facade is slipping too. Friends notice the tension. I don't need to push. The truth surfaces itself, I said, a quiet satisfaction warming me. Mark's voice rang in my memory. Control the narrative without seeming controlling. Let consequences do the work. I smiled faintly, thinking of their faces, the smug expressions they wore at my wedding, now slowly unraveling. It wasn't revenge. It was balance, justice finally moving in its course. That night, I reviewed messages, conversations, and observations. Every slip, every subtle contradiction was documented. Emily's lies, James' self-serving arrogance, their hidden manipulations, all laid bare in a calm, factual record. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. I can finally breathe, I murmured. Not free yet, but not trapped in despair either. Claire texted, "You're doing it right. Patience, James. Let them stumble naturally. Karma in motion." I chuckled softly. Karma, yes. I'm watching, learning, and waiting. And for the first time in weeks, I feel composed. Not broken, not desperate, just ready. The satisfaction wasn't loud. It was quiet, precise, strategic, a seed of power returning to me. Watching their desperation grow, knowing it was inevitable, reminded me who I was. Not a victim, not blind. And with every subtle revelation, every slip they made, I reclaimed a fraction of the dignity they had stolen. I watched them from distance, though not in secrecy this time. Everything I had gathered, every small slip, every hidden word, was surfacing naturally. Their betrayal was crumbling under its own weight. "James, I didn't think anyone would notice," Emily whispered, pacing the room. Her voice trembled, the confident facade I remembered long gone. "You shouldn't have let it get this far," James muttered, rubbing his temples. "I thought we were untouchable. I miscalculated." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Their panic was obvious, but I said nothing. No words were needed. The truth was speaking for itself. David, James' colleague, appeared behind me. "It's finally showing?" "Huh," he said quietly. "Their arrogance, it always catches up." I nodded. "It does. And it's not about revenge. It's about balance." Emily's hand shook. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought we were careful." "You thought wrong," I said softly, feeling neither anger nor triumph, just calm. Careful isn't enough when the truth eventually surfaces. Mar stepped in next, reviewing documents and evidence I had organized. "You've done this strategically. Nothing reckless. No unnecessary chaos. It's all documented, factual. They're exposed, without you stooping to their level." "Exactly," I replied. "I wanted clarity, not chaos. Their own actions brought them here." James ran a hand through his hair. "I can fix this. Maybe I can explain." "Explain what?" I asked quietly, stepping closer. "How you lied. How you destroyed trust. How you made your own brother helpless." Emily bit her lip, eyes glossy with unshed tears. "James, maybe we overstepped. I didn't realize." "You didn't realize?" I repeated, voice steady. "You didn't notice the damage you caused. Not just to me, but to everyone who trusted you. And now everyone sees it." Sophia appeared, quietly observing, giving me a reassuring smile. "They underestimated you. That's why it's coming apart." I glanced at her, nodding slightly. "Yes, and it's not my doing, really. It's theirs." James' voice was hoarse. "People, they're talking. Our friends, our colleagues, everyone knows." I didn't see it coming." "Of course you didn't," I said. "You were too busy thinking of yourselves. Too arrogant to consider consequences." Emily's hands covered her face. "I never wanted this. I loved him." I shook my head, but calmly. Love isn't excuses. It isn't betrayal. Actions define it, not words. David added quietly. "It's painful, seeing them unravel, but they brought it on themselves. You handled this with composure, James." "I had to," I said. "For myself, for my dignity. Not for revenge. Not for spectacle. Just justice in its quiet form." Mark spoke again, reviewing the last piece of evidence. All of the lines. Their lies, manipulations, deceptions, every detail verified. They can't argue without contradicting themselves. I felt a strange weight lift from me. The tension that had lived in my chest since that first morning without Emily was finally easing. There was no triumph in shouting, No revenge in confrontation. Only satisfaction in the inevitable consequences of their actions. James slumped into a chair, defeated. I didn't think it would come to this. It did, I said simply. And it's too late to undo. But maybe you'll learn something. Emily lifted her head, eyes red and weary. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, I said. The truth speaks louder than words ever could. I turned toward the window, letting the afternoon light wash over me. Calm, composed, I felt a quiet victory. Not gloating, not angry, just complete. Sophia whispered, "You're finally free, James." "Yes," I replied, voice low. Free from the chaos they caused. Free from the weight of betrayal. Free to rebuild, to breathe, to live. Mark nodded. "And you've done it with dignity. That's rare." I glanced back at James and Emily. Their faces a mixture of regret, panic, and shame. I felt nothing but clarity. No anger. No obsession. Just understanding. Justice had taken its course, quietly and inevitably. As I walked away from the room, leaving them to face their own consequences, I realized something profound. Closure wasn't loud. It wasn't revenge. It was composure, dignity, and the knowledge that truth had finally set the scales right. And for the first time in months, I felt whole. I woke up early, sunlight streaming through the blinds, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel the weight of betrayal pressing down. I stretched, took a deep breath, and whispered to myself, "It's over. I can finally move forward." Claire called almost immediately. "Morning, James. How's the world treating you today?" "Calm," I said, a small smile forming. "Quiet but free. It feels strange but good. That's exactly how it should feel. You handled everything with composure. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise," she said warmly. I chuckled. It wasn't easy, but watching the truth unfold, seeing them face reality. I don't feel satisfaction in revenge. Just relief. "That's growth," Claire said. "Not everyone gets there. Some stay bitter, letting anger consume them." "I don't want bitterness," I said firmly. "It doesn't help. I need clarity, stability, and peace." Later, I met Sophia for coffee. "You look different," she said with a soft smile. "Stronger, calmer." "I feel different," I admitted. "All the chaos taught me something. Pain is unavoidable sometimes, but I can choose how I respond. I've chosen growth." "You deserve it," she said simply. "You've earned it." I nodded, feeling a weight lift further. It's strange. I thought moving on would feel hollow, empty, but it doesn't. I feel whole. Not healed completely, but ready. Sophia leaned back, sipping her tea. "What about them? Emily and James?" I paused, considering. "They're facing consequences. Professionally, socially, personally. I don't need to act. Karma is doing its work. I don't feel triumph over their pain, just understanding that actions have consequences." "That's rare," she said softly. "Most people would want revenge, public humiliation." "Not me," I said. "I wanted clarity, closure, and control over myself." "That's enough." Later that week, I invited Mark over to discuss future plans. "I've been thinking about what comes next," I said. "Career, personal growth, rebuilding life. Not from a place of loss, but from opportunity." "You sound focused," Mark said, reviewing notes I prepared. "It's good. Strategy isn't just for exposing them. It's for rebuilding yourself." "Exactly," I replied. "I want to surround myself with people I trust, who support me. Claire, Sophia, even David, indirectly. They help me see things clearly without judgment." Mark nodded. "Then you've already taken the hardest step, learning from pain without letting it define you." I smiled faintly. Pain taught me boundaries, strength, patience, and that I can survive betrayal without losing my dignity. That evening, I walked through the park, letting the cool breeze clear my mind. I thought of Emily and James, faces full of regret, social whispers following them wherever they went. I didn't feel glee, just acceptance. A message from Claire pinged. "Seeing them stumble is satisfying, but your real victory is peace. Don't forget that." I typed back. "I know. That's what matters. Moving forward, not dwelling on what's gone." I paused, looking at the city skyline, thinking about the months of despair, sleepless nights, and obsessive thoughts. They were behind me now. I wasn't naive, but I was stronger, wiser. Sophia called later. Want to grab dinner? Celebrate life? Absolutely, I said. I want to enjoy the moment without carrying the past with me. That night, I sat alone briefly, reflecting. Betrayal had been bitter, but it forced clarity. Emily's lies, James' ambition. They shaped a lesson I couldn't have learned any other way. I didn't hate them. I simply understood. I texted Claire, "Thank you for guiding me through this. I couldn't have stayed composed without you." Her reply came almost instantly. "You did it yourself, James. I just reminded you who you are." I leaned back, smiling faintly. I had control again. Emotional balance. Self-worth intact. I realized that moving forward wasn't about forgetting. They'd been part of my story, but about reclaiming my narrative. Walking home, I noticed the subtle changes in my own posture, my calm pace, the lack of tension in my shoulders. Life felt lighter, possibilities wider. I could love, trust, and engage again without fear of betrayal dominating my thoughts. I paused at the door, taking a deep breath. "This is the new chapter," I whispered. Not haunted by anger, not weighed down by regret. Just me moving forward. And with that, I stepped inside, ready to embrace life fully again.